My name is Evelyn, but the little ones used to call me Nana. When my daughter-in-law Sarah looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Evelyn, it's time for you to go," I didn't cry. I only smiled, the way you smile at a child who has just hurt you without meaning to. But inside, my heart shattered like glass under a boot, pieces scattering where no one could see. I picked up the small suitcase I had kept ready for months, kissed my son Mark on the cheek while he stared at the floor like he was ashamed of the world, and walked out of the only home I had left. The door clicked shut behind me, soft as a whisper, but it echoed in my chest like thunder. That was 8 years ago. 8 long, lonely years in a one-bedroom apartment above Mrs. Chen's bakery, where the smell of cinnamon rolls drifts up every morning and reminds me of the breakfasts I used to make for Lily. I thought the story was finished. I thought the door had closed forever, locking away the laughter and the love that once filled my days. I'd wake up to the sound of birds outside my window, but all I could hear was the silence where a child's voice should be. But last Tuesday, a message appeared on my computer screen. The name beside the little blue bird icon made my hands shake so hard I nearly dropped my tea. It was like seeing a ghost from a dream I'd tried to forget. "Hi, Nana, it's Lily. I found you. Can we talk?" My granddaughter. The baby I rocked to sleep every night for the first 5 years of her life. The little girl who used to fall asleep on my chest while rain tapped the window, her tiny breaths syncing with mine like we were one heartbeat. She was 21 now, grown up, with a life of her own. And she had looked for me across all those years of quiet hurt. This is our story. I'm going to tell it slowly, the way it unfolded in my heart, because some hurts only make sense when you walk through them one gentle step at a time. There were days when the pain felt like it would swallow me whole, and moments of sweetness that melted the ice around my soul. It's a tale of love lost and found, of tears hidden in the dark and smiles that hid the breaks inside. Let me take you back to where it all began, so you can feel it too, the ache, the hope, the everything in between. I was 62 when my husband Richard passed away. It wasn't dramatic, like in the movies. No long illness, no final words whispered in a hospital bed. One morning, he kissed me goodbye, his lips warm and familiar against my cheek, and said he was going out back to fix the fence that had been leaning since the last storm. He smiled, that crooked smile of his, the one that still made my stomach flutter after 41 years together. I watched him from the kitchen window, waving as he grabbed his tools. He never came back in for lunch. I found him later, lying peaceful in the grass, his hammer still in his hand. The doctor said his heart just gave out, quick and quiet, like he decided it was time to rest. I remember sinking to the kitchen floor, holding his favorite coffee mug, the one with the chip on the rim from when Mark dropped it as a boy. The mug was still half full from breakfast, cold now. I clutched it to my chest, feeling the emptiness spread through me like winter frost. How do you say goodbye to someone who was your whole world? Richard and I had built a life together, simple, steady, full of quiet joys. Now it was gone, and I was left in a house that suddenly felt too big, too empty. The walls seemed to lean in, whispering memories I wasn't ready to face alone. Nights were the worst. I'd lie in our bed, reaching for his side, only to find cold sheets. I'd cry until my eyes burned, then get up and wander the halls, touching the things he'd left behind, his reading glasses on the nightstand, his coat hanging by the door. Grief isn't loud. It's a heavy quiet that presses down until you can hardly breathe. I tried to keep busy, tending the garden he loved, baking pies no one would eat. But nothing filled the hole. Mark and Sarah lived 40 minutes away, in a cozy little house with a white picket fence that Richard had helped paint when they first moved in. They had just had their baby girl, Lily, a few months before. Sarah had a tough time with the birth, complications that left her weak and weary. Then came the sadness, the kind that creeps in after a baby arrives, making everything feel dark even when the sun is shining. Postpartum, they called it, but to me, it was just a deep, aching tiredness in her eyes. Mark called me one evening, his voice breaking over the phone like he was a little boy again. "Mom, we need help. Sarah's not sleeping. The baby won't stop crying, just for a little while. Please come." I didn't hesitate. What else was there for me? I packed 2 suitcases, one with clothes, the other with the soft blankets Richard and I had saved from Mark's childhood, and drove over the next day. The drive felt like crossing into a new life, the highway blurring through my tears. When I arrived, the house smelled like sour milk and exhaustion. Sarah was on the couch, staring at the wall, tears streaming down her face while Lily wailed in the bassinet. My heart twisted seeing her like that, young, beautiful, but so lost. I scooped Lily up, feeling her tiny body squirm against me, and rocked her gently, humming an old lullaby my mother taught me. She quieted almost right away, her little fists unclenching. Sarah looked up at me, her eyes red and puffy. "Thank you, Evelyn," she whispered, her voice barely there. "I don't know how much longer I can do this." I hugged her then, careful not to wake the baby. "You're not alone, dear. We'll get through this together." In that moment, I felt a spark of purpose again. Richard was gone, but here was a way to keep loving, to pour my heart into something small and needing. Those first months were a blur of tender moments and quiet healing. I'd wake up at 2 a.m. to Lily's cries, letting Sarah sleep those precious hours. I learned her rhythms, the way she liked her bottle warmed just so, not too hot to burn her tiny mouth, not too cold to make her fuss. I'd sit in the rocking chair Richard had carved for Mark as a baby, the wood smooth from years of use, and sing softly while the moon watched through the window. "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." Lily would stare up at me with those big blue eyes, the same as Mark's when he was little, and my heart would melt a little more each time. Sarah began to come back to herself, bit by bit. She'd watch me from the doorway, a small smile creeping onto her face. "You're so good with her, Evelyn. I wish I had that magic touch." I'd hand Lily over, showing her how to burp her just right, or how to swaddle so she felt safe. We'd sit together in the kitchen, sipping tea while Lily napped, and talk about nothing and everything. Sarah shared stories of her own childhood, how her mother had been distant, working 2 jobs, leaving her to fend for herself. "I want to be better for Lily," she'd say, her voice soft with determination. I'd nod, squeezing her hand. "You already are, dear. You're her mama, and that's the most important thing." Mark was grateful, hugging me tight every evening when he came home from his job at the hardware store. "You're a lifesaver, Mom. I don't know what we'd do without you." He'd ruffle Lily's hair, kiss Sarah, and for a while, it felt like we were a real family again, 4 hearts beating under one roof. I'd cook dinners, simple things like roast chicken and mashed potatoes, the kind Richard loved. The table would fill with laughter, Lily banging her spoon in delight. In those moments, the grief for Richard softened, like a sharp edge worn smooth by time. I felt needed, alive in a way I hadn't since he left. But even then, there were tiny cracks, so small I barely noticed at first. Sarah would sometimes hover when I bathed Lily, saying, "I think she prefers the water a bit cooler." Or she'd rearrange the nursery after I'd tidied it, moving the toys back to where she wanted them. I told myself it was nothing, just a new mother finding her way. I wanted to help, not take over. So I stepped lightly, always asking, "Is this okay, Sarah?" She'd smile and say yes, but her eyes didn't always match. Lily grew, and so did our bond. She learned my face first, reaching for me with chubby hands whenever I entered the room. She said Nana before Mama, her little voice bubbling like a brook. I remember the day she took her first steps, wobbling across the living room, holding my fingers for balance. She fell into my arms, giggling, and I spun her around, tears in my eyes. My clever girl. Sarah was in the kitchen, and when she came in, her smile was tight. "That's wonderful," she said, but she scooped Lily up quickly, as if to remind us both who she belonged to. I tried not to let it sting. Love isn't about owning, it's about giving. But deep down, a quiet fear started to whisper, what if I'm too much? What if my help is turning into something else? As Lily turned 2, the house felt warmer, fuller. We celebrated her birthday with a cake I baked, chocolate with pink frosting, just like she pointed to in the picture book. Sarah and Mark sang "Happy Birthday," and Lily clapped her hands, smearing icing everywhere. That night, as I tucked her in, she wrapped her arms around my neck and whispered, "Love, Nana." My heart swelled so big it hurt. This child was my light in the darkness Richard left behind. But the cracks were widening. Sarah started going to mommy groups, coming home with ideas about routines and schedules. The ladies say it's important for babies to bond only with parents at this age, she'd mention casually over dinner. I'd nod, but inside, it felt like a shadow falling over our sunny days. One evening, after Lily had a tantrum and ran to me instead of Sarah, she pulled me aside. "Evelyn, I appreciate everything, but she needs to see me as her comfort, not you." Her voice was calm, but there was an edge, like a knife wrapped in silk. I apologized, of course. "I didn't mean to overstep, dear." That night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, remembering how Richard used to say family is like a garden. You have to tend it carefully or weeds take over. Was I a weed now? The thought made my chest ache. Months passed, and Lily's 3rd birthday came. I wanted to make it special, so I sewed her a little purple dress, the color she loved from her favorite storybook about fairies. She twirled in it all morning, laughing. But when preschool time came, Sarah had laid out a pink outfit. Lily stomped her foot. "No, Nana's dress." Sarah's face went pale, then red. She knelt down. "Lily, Mommy picked this one. It's prettier." But Lily cried, reaching for me. I stayed back, my hands clasped tight to keep from interfering. Sarah scooped her up and took her upstairs, the door closing with a click. Later, over tea, Sarah said quietly, "Evelyn, she has to learn I'm her mother, not you." Her words landed like stones in still water, rippling out. I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. "Of course, Sarah. I'm so sorry." But inside, it felt like a piece of me was breaking off. That night, I cried in the guest room, muffling the sounds in my pillow. How had love turned into this? I started pulling back more. I'd cook and clean, but eat in the kitchen alone while they had family dinners. I'd fold laundry in silence, listening to their laughter from the other room. It hurt, like being on the outside looking in, but I told myself it was for the best. Love means making yourself smaller sometimes, so others can shine. When Lily was 4, Sarah went back to work part-time as a teacher's aide. It was good for her, gave her purpose outside the home. But it meant I was with Lily all day again. We'd play in the backyard, chasing butterflies, making daisy chains. She'd curl up on my lap for stories, her head under my chin. "Tell me about Grandpa Richard," she'd say, and I'd share tales of how he built birdhouses or danced in the kitchen. Those moments were heart-melting, pure joy wrapped in softness. But Sarah's returns home grew colder. She'd pick Lily up at 5 sharp, barely nodding to me. "Thanks, Evelyn," she'd say, her tone flat. On weekends, she'd take Lily to Mommy and Me classes, swimming, art, things I wasn't invited to. "You deserve a break," she'd tell me, but it felt like being pushed away. I'd spend those days walking the neighborhood, sitting on park benches, watching other families. A grandmother pushing a swing, laughing with her grandchild, it made my eyes fill. Why couldn't that be us? Mark saw it, the tension thickening like fog. One night, he found me in the laundry room, folding tiny shirts with tears on my cheeks. He hugged me, his arms strong like Richard's. "Mom, give her time. She's just figuring out motherhood. She loves you." I wanted to believe him. "I know, son. I just miss how it was." He promised it would get better. But promises are fragile things. Then came the storm that changed everything. Lily got sick, a fever that wouldn't break. I stayed up all night, sponging her forehead, singing to calm her whimpers. Sarah was there too, but when Lily reached for me in her delirium, calling, "Nana, hold me," Sarah's face crumpled. The next morning, with Lily sleeping peacefully, Sarah cornered me in the hall. "This can't go on, Evelyn. You're too attached. She's my daughter." Her voice shook, not with anger, but with something deeper, fear, maybe. Jealousy. I felt like the ground was giving way. "Sarah, I only want to help." But she shook her head. "You've helped enough. It's time for us to be a family without you." The words hung there, heavy and final. Mark overheard, his face paling. But he didn't speak up. That hurt more than anything, the silence from my own son. The days after were a slow unraveling. Sarah was polite but distant, like a stranger in her own home. I'd catch her watching me with Lily, her eyes narrowed. Small things disappeared, my favorite baby book from the shelf, the lavender lotion I used for Lily's baths. "Her skin is sensitive," Sarah said when I asked. I bought unscented, trying to smooth things over. But the air felt thick with unspoken words. One afternoon, Lily drew a picture, a stick figure family with me in the middle, holding her hand. She showed Sarah proudly. "Look, Mommy. Nana and me." Sarah's smile didn't reach her eyes. She folded the paper away. "That's nice, sweetie. But let's draw one with just Mommy, Daddy, and you." Lily's lip quivered, but she nodded. I watched from the doorway, my heart twisting. Was I really the problem? Had my love become a burden? Nights, I'd lie awake, replaying every moment. Remembering Richard's voice, "Ev, family is everything. Hold on tight." But holding on felt like gripping sand, slipping away no matter how hard I tried. I started packing little by little, tucking away mementos, a lock of Lily's hair, a drawing she made for me. It felt like preparing for a death. Mark tried to mediate. Sarah, Mom's been a godsend. But she'd cross her arms. Mark, we need our space. Lily needs to know who her real mother is. He'd look at me helplessly, torn between us. It'll be okay, Mom, he'd whisper. But his eyes said otherwise. The breaking point came on a rainy Thursday. Lily had fallen, scraping her knee in the yard. She ran past Sarah, straight into my arms, sobbing. I bandaged it, kissed it better. Sarah stood there, rain dripping from her hair, her face a mask of hurt. That evening, after Lily was in bed, she sat me down. Evelyn, this isn't working. You need to leave. The room spun. Mark was there, staring at his hands. Sarah, please, but she held firm. It's for the best. I didn't argue. What was there to say? I smiled through the pain, nodded. If that's what you need, dear. Inside, I was screaming, a heartbroken wail no one heard. Packing took 2 days. I moved like a ghost, folding clothes I'd worn while holding Lily, touching the nursery walls where I'd painted stars for her to dream under. I left notes in her books, Nana loves you always, hidden where she might find them someday. The house felt cold, even with the heater on. Sarah avoided me, busying herself elsewhere. Mark helped load the car, his shoulders slumped. This is temporary, Mom. Until things settle. But we both knew it wasn't. Lily was watching cartoons when I said goodbye. I knelt, kissed her soft cheek. Be good for Mommy and Daddy, my love. She waved absently, eyes on the screen. As I walked out, I heard her call Nana. But the door was already closing. I drove away in the rain, wipers swishing like a heartbeat. I didn't look back. If I had, I might have seen Lily at the window, pressing her hands to the glass, confused and small. The apartment above Mrs. Chen's bakery was tiny, a bed, a kitchenette, a window facing east. The smell of baking bread was comforting at first, but soon it just reminded me of home. Mrs. Chen handed me keys with a kind smile. Welcome, dear. It's quiet here. Quiet. That's what it was, a deafening quiet. The first night, I sat on the bed, clutching a photo of Lily. Tears came hot and fast. How do you lose a grandchild? It felt like losing Richard all over again, but worse, because she was still out there, growing without me. I imagined her asking for me, Sarah saying, Nana had to go away. The thought tore at me. Days blurred. I'd wake to the bakery's oven humming below, make tea, sit by the window watching people live their lives. I bought a computer, learned to use it clumsily, hoping for emails from Mark. None came. I searched for pictures online, but their profiles were private. The emptiness grew, a hollow in my chest. Birthdays were the hardest. Lily's 4th, I mailed a card with a necklace inside, a tiny heart pendant. It came back unopened. The 5th, a book of fairy tales. Returned. After that, I stopped. What was the point? They didn't want me. I tried to build a new life. Joined a book club at the library, old ladies like me sharing stories over cookies. But when they talked about grandkids, I'd smile and change the subject, the ache flaring fresh. I planted flowers on the balcony, geraniums, bright red like Lily's favorite crayons. I'd talk to them. Today would have been a good day for a picnic, wouldn't it? Pathetic, but it kept the loneliness at bay. Some nights, the heartbreak was too much. I'd curl up, sobbing, remembering Lily's laugh, her sticky hugs. Why? I'd whisper to the dark. Why did love turn sour? No answers came, just more silence. Years ticked by 5, 6, 7. I turned 70, celebrated alone with a cupcake from downstairs. Mark sent a card once, thinking of you. No mention of Lily. It hurt more than nothing. I wondered if she remembered me at all, or if I was just a faded dream. Then, the message. I was sipping tea, browsing recipes online, when the ping came. My hands trembled as I clicked. Hi, Nana. It's Lily. I hope this is you. I've been looking for years. I miss you so much. Time stopped. Tears blurred the screen. Was it real? I typed back slowly, my sweet girl. It's me. I've missed you every day. We messaged for hours. She was 21, in college for art, living alone. She sent a photo, tall, beautiful, with my eyes staring back. You look just like your daddy, I wrote, heart melting. She asked why I left. I told the truth gently. Your mommy needed space. I stepped back to let her shine. But Lily had her own story. Mom said you got tired of us, left without goodbye. Dad never talked about you. I thought I did something wrong, made you go. Oh, the heartbreak. I cried reading that, imagining a little girl blaming herself. No, darling. You were perfect. I loved you too much to fight. She shared memories, mud pies in the yard, my lullabies. I dreamed of you singing You Are My Sunshine. Thought it was made up. We laughed through tears over video call, her face filling my screen like a miracle. 3 weeks later, we met at a cafe. I arrived early, nerves fluttering. When she walked in, I knew her instantly, that walk, that hair tuck like Mark's. She saw me, eyes widening, and ran. We hugged, her sobs soaking my shoulder. Nana, I'm sorry I didn't find you sooner. Shoo, my love. You're here now. We talked for hours, her life, the hole I left. I felt incomplete, she said. Like part of me was missing. Heart-melting words, mending old breaks. She asked about anger. I was hurt, I admitted. But I chose forgiveness. It brought you back. Mark called soon after. Mom, Lily told us. Can I see you? His voice broke. He came alone, looking weary. We hugged, both crying. I failed you, Mom. I let Sarah push you out. Forgive me? I poured tea, held his hand. I already have, son. Love finds its way. Sarah hasn't reached out. Maybe someday. For now, Lily visits Sundays, laundry, stories, laughter filling my home. We cook, talk, heal. She naps on my couch, arm dangling like old times. Heart melting. Mark joins sometimes, bridges rebuilding. The pain was heartbreaking, but the reunion? Pure warmth. Sometimes love bends, but doesn't break. It waits, patient, for the right moment to bloom again. If there's silence in your life, a lost connection, reach out. A simple message can melt years of ice. Our story ends not in sorrow, but in gentle new beginnings. 2 hearts, then 3, beating together. Thank you for listening. Hold your loved ones close. Love always finds home.